This is the biggest lie that Xbox has ever told. Hi everyone, and thank you for joining me here today. This has been a video that has been a long time brewing behind the scenes, and Phil Spencer just kind of brought it up again. This is something that nobody's talking about. Xbox is not dropping physical games, says Phil Spencer. After Microsoft's plans for an adorably all-digital Series X console leaked last year, there's been concerns among fans surrounding physical Xbox games, whether Microsoft was moving to an all-digital future with its gaming business. Now, Phil Spencer has said that Xbox isn't getting rid of physical media and that it's not a strategic goal for Microsoft. Now, let's talk about physical media for Xbox. Many stores in my surrounding area, and if you look online, other retailers as well, are getting rid of physical Xbox games. Why is that? I've been into GameStop. They have a teeny tiny section that is only shrinking. Best Buy practically only has Grand Theft Auto and Call of Duty. Walmart's section is shrinking, as well as Target's is practically empty. You'll find maybe 5 to 6 year old Xbox One games, no Series X games at all. And there's a reason for that. We're going to go ahead and get into that a little bit later on in the video. But here he is saying that physical media isn't something that they are going away from, but yet it's literally disappearing from almost every major retailer. Why is that? Gaming consoles themselves have kind of become the last customer electronic device that has a drive, Spencer said. This is a real issue just in terms of the number of manufacturers that are actually building drives and the cost associated with those. And when you think about the cogs we're going to put into a console, as you have fewer suppliers and fewer buyers, the cost of the drives does have an impact. But I will say our strategy does not hinge on people moving all digital, Spencer added, and getting rid of physical. That is not a strategic thing for us. Despite Spencer's comments that getting rid of physical is not a strategic thing for Microsoft, last month, Xbox confirmed that the long-awaited release of the high-profile sequel Hellblade 2 would be a digital-only title. All right, so let's talk about the Xbox physical games, the physical media, and how exactly that all operates within the Series X, the Xbox One X, the Xbox One console generation. Backwards compatibility. This game right here, Splinter Cell, it's an amazing game. However, you can't just put this in your console and play it. Why is that? Well, you put it in and acts as a license, and then it downloads it from the store. Okay, fair enough. One of the best-selling games of all time, Grand Theft Auto 5, guess what? Comes with 2 discs, and you're like, okay, cool. I can install this and play it without any internet. Nope, no you can't. Because when you go to open the game, it asks you to log into your profile, and your profile is connected to Xbox Live. It kicks you back to the dashboard. You can't do that. I've tested it. I've waited the 45 minutes to an hour for the game to install both discs. Does not work. It does on the PlayStation 4 and on the PS5, though. Here's another thing. New game, Assassin's Creed. Xbox Series X and Xbox One. Guess what? You put this in your Series X, disconnect from the internet, it won't install the game because it needs to pull the Series X version out of Xbox Live and install it with the disc. And then you have to go in and uninstall the Xbox One version. Even though it installs, you still can't just play the Xbox One version. That's the smart delivery. And this is another thing. Xbox's discs, they aren't the 100 gigabyte Blu-ray discs. They are the 50 gigabyte Blu-ray discs. This is to cut down on cost for physical media. And guess what? If you're not connected to the internet, it doesn't just let you install the Xbox One version and play that. It'll install up to a certain percentage and then tell you you need to connect to Xbox Network in order to complete the installation. If Xbox was as dedicated to physical media, they would put the physical media on the disc. They would put the data on the disc and make it one complete package, but they don't do that. Now, I have long covered Xbox here on the channel. This is obviously an Xbox-focused channel, but we need to look at things realistically. Phil Spencer was, to me, a good driving force for Xbox. He kept Xbox around back when Microsoft wanted to close it down. He pushed the backwards compatibility program, got that going. He dropped the cost of the console. He got rid of Kinect. He did a bunch of good things very early on with his tenure on Xbox. But he hasn't done much lately. And every time he speaks, you have to very carefully listen to what he says. Because he'll say one thing, but then the company does something else. What Phil Spencer has actually done since he's taken over as head of Xbox is fulfill Don Matrick's vision for what Xbox One was. Many of you may not remember, you might not have been around back then, but Xbox One was going to be an online-only console. No used games, no trades. You had to constantly be online in order to play games. And essentially, that is what Xbox has been. But Phil Spencer has found a way to wrap it in a package that you would want. Oh, smart delivery. That's cool. It'll know what console you have, and then it'll just download assets, 4K assets for the One X, for the Series X, from the internet, and then you'll have the 4K version that way. Well, that's cool, but if you don't have internet and you put the disc in the console, it doesn't work. Okay, well, here's Xbox Game Pass. You have to be online in order to play those games. If you are not connected to the internet, guess what? It can't authenticate the Game Pass license, and the games don't work. This is the biggest lie that Xbox has ever told its audience and gotten away with. And nobody seems to be discussing this. This is something that in 2013, the Xbox community wholeheartedly rejected. And it is why the Xbox One was such a disaster and the PlayStation outsold it essentially 3-1 and still continues to outsell Xbox. Understanding what Xbox is as a platform can help people make purchasing decisions. Nintendo and PlayStation are very upfront with everything. You buy a game, you put it in your console, and it plays. Xbox is trying to portray this image that they're similar or that their consoles can do the same thing, when in reality, that's really just not true. And that is my major problem with the way that Phil speaks about physical media, when you can just look at what's happening with the platform and say, no, that's not true. Why are you saying that? I don't understand why other people aren't calling him out for what is an obvious lie on his part when it comes to physical media.